Long before the story of Atlantis captured the imagination of mystics and storytellers, a far more ancient landmass was whispered about in esoteric circles under the names Lamria or Muria. According to spiritual lore, this lost continent sprawled across what we now call the Pacific Ocean, its shores touching the edges of Asia, flowing through the archipelagos of Oceania and Australia, reaching across to the Western Americas, and even grazing the eastern fringes of Africa. The name Lemuria first appeared in the mid-19th century, when zoologists, most notably Philip Sclater, grappled with the puzzle of lemur fossils and living populations in both Madagascar and India, yet nowhere in between. To account for these biogeographical oddities, they hypothesized a sunken land bridge or continuous tract of land, dubbed Lemuria, that once bridged those continents and allowed species to migrate freely. Although Alfred Wegener's theory of continental drift and the subsequent development of plate tectonics eventually rendered Lemuria scientifically obsolete, the idea refused to fade into obscurity. By the turn of the 20th century, theosophists and other spiritual seekers had adopted Lemuria, often respelled Lamria or Muria, as more than a zoological footnote. In their retellings, Lamria transformed from a mere geological curiosity into the birthplace of a heart-centered civilization. This civilization, they claimed, flourished not through conquest or mechanical invention, but through unity, intuition, and an advanced mastery of vibrational energy. Lamrian cities were said to be constructed of living crystal and light, seamlessly integrated with the natural world. Its people communicated telepathically, healed one another with sound frequencies and radiant intention, and navigated both physical and ethereal realms with ease. In these spiritual narratives, Lamria predates Atlantis both in chronology and in the depth of its teachings. While Atlantis epitomizes the masculine pursuit of intellectual and technological dominance, Lamria embodies the divine feminine principle of emotional intelligence, unconditional love, and collective harmony. The land itself is remembered as a high-frequency resonance or soul imprint, an archetypal memory that still stirs within those who feel inexplicable yearnings for the ocean's depths or unexplained homecomings in dreams and meditations. Thus, what began as a 19th-century attempt to solve a zoological mystery evolved into a powerful mystical symbol. Lamria lives on not as a sunken mass of rock, but as a resonant invitation for contemporary seekers to remember an ancient paradigm of oneness, to reconnect with nature's rhythms, and to reclaim the vibrational technology of the heart. Lamrian society was founded upon principles that modern cultures often relegate to the realm of idealism. Harmony, intuition, love, and collective consciousness formed the very bedrock of their civilization, replacing ambition, conquest, and ego with an ethos of shared purpose. In lieu of iron, steam, and silicon, Lamrians harnessed the subtle yet potent forces of vibration, sound, frequency, and pure intention technologies that existed not as tangible machines, but as orchestrations of energy. Their cities, conceived of living crystal and light, pulsed with resonant tones that maintained structural integrity, regulated environmental conditions, and even facilitated transit through what we would call teleportation. Communication was equally ethereal. Instead of spoken or written language, Lamrians exchanged thought forms via telepathy, conveyed feeling through waves of energy, and broadcast intention as tangible emotion. Misunderstandings were virtually unheard of, for every individual was trained from birth to speak in tones of nuanced vibration, perceivable and interpretable by others in their community. Healing arts, too, reflected this vibrational paradigm. When illness or imbalance arose, Lamrian practitioners did not reach for chemical compounds, but for crystal matrices charged with specific frequency signatures, sound-weaving rituals designed to realign cellular resonance and focused intention, to catalyze the body's innate self-repair mechanisms. Entire temples were dedicated to the study and application of sound healing, where practitioners employed harmonic overtones generated by instruments ranging from tuning forks carved from pure quartz to vocal toning techniques to dissolve energetic blockages and restore wholeness. Even agriculture, architecture, and community governance operated on these same principles of frequency modulation and collective intention, ensuring that every facet of life was imbued with coherence, compassion, and an overarching sense of unity. In Lamria, technology was not a tool to dominate nature, but a language through which humanity conversed with and healed alongside the living world. At its heart, Lamria embodies the archetype of the divine feminine, a soul-centered paradigm, grounded in emotional intelligence, unconditional love, and an inner knowing that transcends mere intellect. Rather than valorizing conquest or competition, its spiritual essence celebrates compassionate reciprocity and soulful attunement to both the self and the wider tapestry of life. In this sacred vision, feeling becomes a form of wisdom. Empathy is as valid as analysis, intuition as trustworthy as evidence, and the gentle currents of the heart guide decisions more surely than rigid doctrine. Lamria's teaching invites us to reclaim our emotional landscapes, recognizing each feeling as a messenger carrying insight into our deepest truths. Yet Lamria is not only a set of ideals, it is also an archetypal frequency or soul memory woven into the collective unconscious. Many today describe an inexplicable tug at their core when they stand before the ocean, wander in ancient forests, or simply pause in meditation. A quiet resonance that stirs as though remembering a home long forgotten. This inner calling, often felt as a deep longing or nostalgic ache, reflects the Lamrian vibration still humming within our DNA. An imprint of a time when humanity lived in seamless harmony with earth, spirit, and each other. In honoring this pull, seekers are invited to awaken dormant aspects of their being, to realign with a higher octane of love, and to rediscover the feeling of belonging that lies beyond the boundaries of the ego mind. Thus, Lamria's spiritual significance unfolds on two levels, as a template for heart-first living and as a hidden melody of remembrance echoing through the soul. When we choose to listen, to lead with compassion, to trust our inner voice, to open our hearts without reservation, we begin to anchor that ancient frequency in the present. In doing so, we not only honor the legacy of a lost civilization, but also reignite the timeless wisdom that whispers within each of us, that true home is the awakened heart. In Lemuria, daily life unfolded in sacred alignment with the cycles of the natural world, each sunrise and sunset, lunar phase and seasonal shift was honored through ritual, song, and contemplative practice, ensuring that human activity remained in seamless harmony with Earth's living rhythms. From planting seeds at the dawn of spring to harvesting under the waning moon, Lamrians recognized that their personal well-being was inextricable from the health of the soil, the balance of the tides, and the movement of celestial bodies. Their communities were not organized around political boundaries or economic hierarchies, but around soul purpose. Individuals discovered and cultivated their unique gifts, be they healing with crystal matrices, weaving sonic alchemy as sound workers, teaching through vibrational language, or guiding others as intuitive counselors, and then offered those gifts as vital threads in the communal tapestry. In this web of interdependence, no one labored for personal gain. Service was the highest expression of love, and collaboration eclipsed competition. At the core of Lamrian pedagogy was the principle that true presence arises when the heart becomes a portal to higher awareness. From early childhood, each person was trained to quiet the chatter of the analytical mind, to open their energetic senses, and to listen attentively to the subtle currents of feeling that ripple through body, tribe, and planet. Intuition was not a mysterious gift reserved for a select few, but a primary faculty to be cultivated through meditation, ceremony, and mindful living. In every interaction, whether negotiating resource sharing in the community council or communing with the spirits of ancient trees, decisions were guided more by felt resonance and empathic insight than by abstract logic or debate. Through this heart-centered way of being, Lamrians upheld the conviction that service to others and reverence for the earth were essentially the same act of sacred devotion. By living in tune with nature's cadence, aligning vocational purpose with collective need, and leading from the intelligence of the heart rather than from egoic ambition, they created a culture of profound mutual support, spiritual growth, and unshakable trust in the unseen forces that bind all life. Over time, the luminous harmony of Lamria began to wane, not in a single cataclysm, but through a subtle, protracted shift in the planet's own energies. As lower frequency vibrations crept into the collective field, cracks formed in the once vibrant resonance of the land. Tectonic plates stirred beneath crystal cities, volcanic fissures rumbled along sacred coastlines, and great floods edged inward under rising tides. This slow unraveling was mirrored by a growing dissonance in the hearts of its people, who felt both the pull of diminishing light and the call to preserve their highest knowing. In response, many Lamrians chose a deliberate withdrawal rather than witness the collapse of their paradise. Some retreated into vast caverns within the earth, forging hidden sanctuaries where crystalline archives of their wisdom lay undisturbed. Others traversed inner stargate networks to return to their cosmic homelands, carrying keys of frequency and intention to distant realms. Long before their surface world vanished beneath waves or dust, these keepers of the heart's technology encoded the essence of Lamria into enduring vessels. They charged quartz and sacred stones with vibrational signatures of healing, etched luminous glyphs into isolated temples and megaliths around the globe, and wove their teachings into the very fabric of human DNA as hidden codes awaiting reawakening. Thus, though the continent itself dissolved into myth and memory, its spiritual infrastructure remained intact, buried in crystals, carried in seed sites, and resonating in every soul aligned with the old high-frequency ways. Today, as the Earth's own vibrational field ascends once more, those ancient imprints stir again, inviting seekers to uncover the buried crystals, to interpret the silent temples, and ultimately to resurrect the heart-centered civilization that chose conscious departure over defeat. Today, the legacy of Lamria is most palpable in the world's energetic portals, places like the volcano-forged islands of Hawaii, the stoic Moai of Easter Island, the misty slopes of Mount Shasta, and the sacred mountain ranges of the Andes, where the land itself seems to hum with an ancient, heart-centered frequency. Visitors to these sites often describe spontaneous shifts in awareness, subtle tingles of energy beneath their feet, vivid inner visions, or a profound sense of coming home to something remembered rather than learned. Alongside these geomantic echoes, the healing technologies of Lamria are re-emerging in contemporary spiritual practice. Crystal healers once again assemble quartz grids to amplify intention. Sound bath facilitators curate orchestrations of singing bowls and tuning forks to dissolve energetic blockages, and energy workers blend modalities from Reiki and pranic healing to shamanic journeying to realign body, mind, and soul with higher dimensional vibrations. Group ceremonies, reminiscent of ancient Lamrian soul tribes, co-create sacred geometry mandalas, channel collective intention at dawn's first light, and cultivate the communal resonance essential to these heart-centered teachings. None of this revival rests on the physical remains of a sunken continent, however. It lives in the soul memories carried by individuals inherently drawn to these practices. For many modern seekers, an inexplicable affinity for crystals as living intelligence, a deep longing for the ocean's depths, or a natural sensitivity to sound as medicine signals the presence of Lamrian codes encoded in their DNA. As these inner imprints stir, urban meditation centers, remote retreats, and virtual circles around the globe become vessels for Lamria's vibrational wisdom. Through pilgrimage to energy portals, participation in sound and crystal ceremonies, and the awakening of intuitive gifts, the ancient civilization's frequency is re-anchored in our collective field. In this way, Lamria's true inheritance, unity, compassion, and the vibrational technology of the heart continues to ripple outward, inviting humanity to remember and embody its forgotten path. In this era of planetary transformation, a profound energetic shift is underway, one that gently but insistently calls humanity back to a heart-centered way of being. As the old paradigms of separation and competition give way to an awakening of collective consciousness, many who sense this change recognize themselves as Lamrian souls, soul fragments or thought forms from the ancient civilization of Lamria, now returning to anchor currents of love, healing, and higher wisdom upon the earth. These individuals often experience unmistakable signs of their Lamrian heritage, a natural empathy that extends beyond ordinary compassion, an unshakable affinity for water's depths and the vastness of starlight, and a magnetic draw toward crystals as living conduits of energy. Their nights are colored by vivid spiritual dreams, visions of underwater cities, crystalline forests, or luminous beings calling them home, while their waking hours bring a heightened sensitivity to subtle vibrations in sound, light, and emotion. For these souls, the world is alive with resonance, and every interaction offers an opportunity to transmit the frequencies of unity and healing. By listening to these inner stirrings, by honoring the pull toward heart-based intuition and service, the Lamrian return is catalyzed. Ordinary people become conduits for extraordinary light, weaving ancient codes of compassion into the fabric of modern life. In choosing to embody this remembrance, we not only realign with our own deepest purpose, but also contribute to the collective awakening, co-creating a new world that pulses with the high vibration legacy of Lamria. In our fast-paced modern world, the most vital skill we can cultivate is the art of leading from the heart, learning to trust the quiet guidance of our intuition, honor the full spectrum of our emotions, and remain fully present in each moment. By anchoring ourselves in this heart-centered awareness, we naturally deepen our bond with the living earth. We begin to perceive forests, rivers, mountains, and skies not as inert backdrops, but as conscious allies in our shared journey. From this place of mutual respect, we can gather in soul communities, where service replaces competition. Each person contributes their unique gifts, and collective upliftment becomes the highest aim. In these circles, whether gathered around a simple fire, a crystal grid, or a virtual sound bath, we remember that our individual purpose is inseparable from the well-being of the whole. Beyond building supportive networks, we're invited to reclaim the ancient codes that lie dormant within our DNA. Through practices such as meditation, intentional energy work, ritual movement, and sacred ceremonies, perhaps using breath, song, or the living intelligence of crystals, we resonate with the high-frequency wisdom of our ancestors. As we awaken these inner blueprints, our bodies, minds, and spirits realign with a more harmonious, compassionate way of being, one in which intuition and intention become our primary technologies. Together, by leading with love, revering nature, as a conscious presence, forming soul-purpose alliances, and activating our latent energetic codes, we not only transform our own lives, but also contribute to a broader shift in collective consciousness. In doing so, we step fully into the timeless legacy of Lamria, living proof that the frequency of unity, healing, and divine wisdom is not locked away in legend, but available here and now for anyone willing to remember. The story of Lamria transcends the realm of legend to serve as a living mirror and guide for our own soul's awakening in the present moment. Rather than mere mythic history, its legacy is a template for how we might reclaim a heart-centered way of being, one grounded in unconditional love, intuitive unity, and the kind of wisdom that arises when we listen deeply to both our inner voice and the silent language of the natural world. When we pause to recognize Lamria, not as a distant, drowned continent, but as a frequency vibrating within our own consciousness, each act of kindness, each moment of presence, becomes a step toward its resurrection. By choosing compassion over division, service over self-interest, and the collective good over individual ambition, we begin to embody the very qualities that once sustained that golden civilization. In doing so, we don't merely pay homage to an ancient ideal. We actively participate in Lamria's return, anchoring its high-vibration energy into our communities, our relationships, and our own bodies. As more of us align with this gentle yet potent paradigm, leading with the heart, nurturing each unique soul purpose, and weaving our intentions into the web of all life, the cumulative resonance of love and unity grows stronger. In this way, Lamria's ancient light does not remain buried beneath the waves of time, but shines anew in every compassionate gesture, every mindful breath, and every conscious choice to uplift the collective. By living as Lamrians in spirit, embodying the qualities of love, unity, and wisdom, we become co-creators of a world that reflects the highest frequencies of our shared origins and helps to raise the vibration of humanity as a whole.